Okay, that intro used to be longer. Okie dokie. So that used to be a longer intro. What did I just do? Okay, I don't know what I just did. Let me see. Okay, let me see if you guys can see me. Let me go over to Flourishing Live Events. Okay, there you guys are. Like I said, that intro used to be longer. And so that throws me for a loop. Okay, I'm going to put my phone up here because this is where I'll be able to see comments from if you're on our Facebook Flourishing Live page or group, or if you're in one of the other groups, I'll be able to see the comments actually for Flourishing Live right here on my phone. And then if you're on YouTube, hi Christy. Like Christy just did a shout out here on YouTube, and I will be able to see that if you post there. So hello, welcome. I'm Cindy Hudson, and I live in Maceo, Kentucky. We're here tonight. We're going to talk real quickly about contouring and highlighting and some of the brushes and the tools that we use to do that, what we kind of use to make that magic happen. And I have a frog in my throat, and I don't know why, but I am going to try to keep it away. I do have water in case I need it. If you're on, if you are, will comment. If you're in a group besides Flourishing Live or on YouTube, we'll get back to you in those groups. If you're in the Flourishing Live events on Facebook, I will see it if you put a comment. And right now, I see no comments. So please comment and say, hey, I'm on. Cindy, I'm on. And where you're at tonight, where you're streaming in from, maybe even who invited you on. That would be good. Same thing on YouTube. Put it right here in the comments. If you know how to comment on YouTube, if you signed up to be able to comment, just do a comment out to us. If you watch this later and it's not at 6 o'clock on Monday, and it's a little bit later on, just put hashtag replay in your comment and let us know that you watched it, okay? Because let me get my cord out from under my feet. Your consultant does get some credit for you being on events, okay? Plus, if you're on an event, we want to be able to ask you, did you have questions? Did you learn something new? Do you think we should do this different? I mean, you give us feedback and you help us. And so we want to, we want to be able to give you honors for that, right? So if we don't know you're on, then we have no idea. We have no idea to check in on you. Okay. So contouring and highlighting. Okay, I'm going to, got to quit talking so much with my hands. All right. So there's nobody over on the Facebook that wants to comment? Okay. What I'm going to do is probably take off my earrings because I don't want to get makeup all over those. Sometimes I do. And then I'm going to put on my cute little headband that kind of goes with our theme of our 250 faces to commemorate the 250th anniversary of our great country. And I want you to be able to see what I'm doing, okay? So I'm trying not to mess up my hair so bad that I can't get it to lay back down here in a minute when I need it to, but get it up here so you can kind of tell what I'm doing. Okay, so if you're on, there's Diane from Destin, Florida, and Christy's telling us she's in Bolingbrook, Illinois. So great. Oh, that's where she lives, but she's currently in Traverse City, Michigan. So thank you, Christy, for jumping on. Thank you, Diane, for jumping on. And I'm going to explain to y'all, because in case some of you are on there and you're hiding from us and not letting us know you're watching, or you're watching later on, I'm going to explain that we are, as a unit, as our two units together, we are doing a face race to be able to show this amazing product to 250 women plus. We're really going for 500 as two units. So you getting on, commenting, and letting your consultant know and telling her what you learned from us, you get to count towards that 250, 500 faces that we're doing. So yay. So that's why you need to comment, even if it's later. and put in hashtag replay. Okay. So that's why the stars and stripes. All right. So how many of you guys have ever had a problem with contouring and highlighting? Like how many of you maybe at one time or other in your life did not understand it? That would be me. Okay, surely there's more of you. So if that was ever you, join the party. But the cool thing is there's extremely easy ways to do this. And one thing is practicing and playing with it, but it's so simple, guys. So I'm going to let you know, number one, we have two different ways you can do that. More than two, really, but you can go with wet contouring or you can go with dry contouring. It's totally up to you. And there's Miss Peggy from Robards, Kentucky. Hello, Peggy. So if you're going to go the wet route, okay, as I would say, you can contour with whatever products you happen to have. In Mary Kay, a lot of times we don't have like a contouring stick, things like that. But you can always go with like a deeper color foundation. So like a CC cream. You could go with a deeper color CC cream. You could go with a deeper color foundation. You could use that as a contour if you want to go the liquid route. Highlighting, we would go with our concealer. You can use a concealer, and you could use a lighter concealer than your face, which is kind of what you do anyway with a concealer, but you might even go a shade even lighter than normal if you're going to use it as a highlighter. So, and then we mix our concealers with our under eye correctors when we do that. But that would be a couple of ways to do more of I would, like I said, call it a wet contour and not a powder contour. Oh, good. Peggy's giving feedback. Yes, you have trouble with contouring. Yes, and we're gonna fix that right now. Okay. If you went, say, the route of using a wet product, either foundation, CC cream, highlighters, you could even go with a darker highlighter and a lighter highlighter and use that as a contour and highlight. You could use these tools. You could go with our sponge, our brand new sponge that we love. And this one is damp, but it's not wet. It actually will get even bigger. But you could use this to be your blending tool if you were using, and it's damp, if you were using your liquid or wet contouring products. You could use a damp sponge. You could use a liquid foundation brush, and that could be what you use to blend liquid contours and highlighters. And again, what are they? If you're not particularly making a particular one, because we do sometimes, but they'd be limited edition, you could use a darker CC cream, a darker foundation. You could use lighter lightest concealers, or even a very light foundation or CC cream, highlighter, contour, up to you. Liquid foundation brush. You could use a damp sponge. You could even look into our Mary Kay blending brush. I'm going to show you a new one because mine was not in here in my room. So this is a brand new one. And this is what we call a blending brush. So it's kind of both worlds. It's like on a handle, looks like a brush, but it feels very much like a sponge, even though these are tiny little bristles. So a blending brush would be really good to blend your concealers if you're using wet or liquid concealing methods. Okay. Now, so what if you don't want to use wet methods? They're the very same. It just depends on just your tool that's different. You would go with either you could contour with a darker face powder in our Silky Setting Powder. You could highlight with a lighter face powder from our Silky Setting Powder. That would be one way. You could go with the tools we actually make for that. Mary Kay actually makes 2 mainline contours. We have Latte, right here is the Latte. It's more for ivory beige folk. And then we have the Cocoa, which is more for the very dark beige to bronze folks. Okay, so we carry those two contours. Our highlighters, we carry two highlighters. Aren't we cool? Okay, we carry Honey Glow. That would be for our very dark beige or our bronzer skin tones. Or we carry Glazed, which would be for, oops, got my finger in there, our ivory to lighter beige. So we actually carry true contours and true highlights. You could get that. You could use that. Sometimes we will have limited edition items and powders too. Like this one was one I've almost used up, but this was a limited edition shiny highlighter that it's really fun to put on your cheeks on top of your blush, and it can be used as a highlighter all over too. So sometimes there's special edition items like that also. And you know what? Let me grab something real fast. I'm going to grab my compact. Okay, because tonight what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the dry method, okay? Just because I think I can have more control to show you guys. So I'm going to go with my contour, and I actually went to get that. Now this is what, and let me show you the brushes. Okay, if you're using dry, you've got different choices. You can go with our, I'm going to show you fresh ones of all of these. You could go with our amazing powder brush, all over powder brush. Mostly if you were going to use Silky Setting to be your contour and highlighter, you can squeeze the bristles together like so and get it in a more concentrated way, like it's what you would do with a contour. You could use that. Let me slide all the little accoutrement thingies back on there. Okay. And oh, there's Donna from Illinois. Everybody's giving shout outs and telling us tips. Okay, you could go with our amazing blush brush. And the cool thing about our cheek color blush brush is it's particularly made to contour, highlight, and do powdered cheek color. It has a little thumb hole right here. So you can hold it down tight and close when you're wanting to do things like concentrated contouring. It has different size bristles. You see that? So these little short ones are for the contour, for contouring. The longer bristles are for your highlight, to go in the areas that you would highlight. The longer bristles, if you're using this for your cheek color, you just simply do the brush in the cheek color, smile, and do the brush across your cheek, the whole brush. So this is an amazing tool. And if your sponge was dry, you can use the sponge to also blend your powders. You use this flat side here and you could blend your contour in. And then again, if you had not used your, did I slide that back in there already? If you had not used your blending brush yet and you got it brand new, you could blend, use the blending brush to blend powder, contours, and highlights also. So there's lots of tools and lots of options, and you can ask your consultant more about all the applicators. Talk to her about what you're wanting to do and see which ones might be best for you to use. Okay. And I didn't say prices because I do not have a book here to tell you prices, but we can get you prices. Or that's a great question to ask your consultant. How much was that really cool all over brush she talked about, that big powder brush? How much is that really amazing cheek brush with the little thumb hole? You can ask, okay? How much is that liquid foundation brush that we use all the time? So just ask, and we can get you the answers to that. So what I am going to do is I'm going to do a dry contour. So I'm going to take my handy dandy cheek brush. I'm going to use the back bristles. I'm going to dip it into my contour. Okay. You see how it's just back here on the back side? And I am going to make, and pull this up a little bit. This way it would be an E. Okay. So I'm going to go right here. under there, and under there. And I will do it again. Probably should have used Cocoa so you could see it. And I'm going to go the opposite direction, so I'll get more color here to firm up the cheek area, the chin, and then go back up here. And that is a simple contour. That's a simple contour. Let me go up a little higher up in here. Okay. Simply contours under contours there under the cheek to lift the cheek. Contours up here, because what we're wanting to do is have people look into the center of our face and not pay attention to anything out here. All this junk out here, right? And then when you come under here, again, you're going to take some of the roundness off, because the human eye will stop looking past a dark spot. It won't look any further. So it's going to keep it in here. It's going to keep it off maybe where it's a little too round over here, maybe, right? And then under the chin, we're going to kind of hide that extra and chisel it and make it look really firm. All right? So you can see the difference too, can't you? Okay, that's how simple that is. What would you do on the other side? You would just dip in the same way. Okay. And then you would do it opposite. So it's an E. One way you're making an E, and the other way you're making a 3. And again, I'm going to add a little more for down here, since I did the top first. Contour it. Put a little more down there. Bring it into the center. Okay, now that's the contour. So let's do some highlight in the same way. I'm going to take the long bristles of my cheek brush, and I'm going to dip them in to the highlighter. Now I used Latte as my contour, and I am going to use the Honey Glow as my highlighter. And I'm simply going to go where I would want the sun to look like the sun touch. So it's not going to be browner. It's just going to be nice and shiny. Okay. And highlighted. So right under the eye, down the nose, right here. And then we're going to go right down the center. Again, pulling the attention into the center of your face. Now, probably, I would say at this time, let me see if I can get me a spot. I would also, for highlight, I would add a shimmer shine if I had one, and I do. So long bristles, pop, 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 right up there where I already had some blush. But you know what else I might do? Because my makeup, no powder on my makeup itself right now. The powder was put on a long time ago. I'm going to take our Spark Change Current limited edition cheek stick, and I'm going to go ahead and put just another pop of color right there with the cheek color. Again, that gives a little of a contour, and I'm going to use that sponge that's a little damp, and I'm going to blend that. Same thing on this side, smile. And this one is called Spark Change. Okay. Any questions? Any questions yet? Yeah, I like having options too, Donna. And it depends on the day. And if you come on our advanced color, which we have one coming up, we will have started really looking into what we call underpainting, which is doing all your contouring and highlighting before you put your foundation on. So that's always something fun to watch, and it's very simple. So ask your consultant about that, because we've got one coming up. And I'm going to take just a little of my concealer and under eye corrector. Again, I haven't done anything to my makeup since this morning. So let me put just a touch of those concealers on there to just brighten up that eye area that I did so much earlier today. Okay. I like to kind of use my fingers for this, but I also have the sponge. So I can just dip right in there. with my sponge. And if you have a little on your finger, you could brighten that spot just a smidge that we've already put highlighter. Pop it up. It just makes it a little more dramatic. Okay. And let's see. I think that's basically it, right? Okay, let me take the headband off and let y'all see if you can tell. Again, let me take that brush that's got that highlighter on there. Pop the hair, right? And then I'm going to take a little of that contour. And just maybe, because I have a long nose, so let me just make it look a little shorter. Tap it on the end, down the sides a little bit to narrow it so the highlighter works a little better. And there you go, guys. So, let's see. Oh, hi, Duran. Good to have you. Okay, let me see. Any other questions? Basically, a highlighter and a contour is to bring people into looking at the center of your face and taking them away from the outside edges. Maybe that, because we really want them to look in here. We want them to look up to our eyes. We want our cheeks to look raised because we want people to look up, right? We want people to look in and up into our eyes, into the center of our face. Get rid of all this extra that we don't actually need them to see. And that's kind of what contouring and highlighting is all about. It's just using art techniques to get light to shine where you want light to shine and to make things recede that you kind of want to go away, to scoochie back. So again, contour, you can do dry or wet. You just pick which method you want to use. If you're using the wet method, we've got the liquid foundation brushes. We have the blending brush. We have the sponge that you can dampen, and you can use that for creams or wet liquids. If you're doing dry, you can use the all over powder brush. If you like something bigger and just kind of squish the bristles, or you could use our amazing cheek color brush, which is actually made to contour and highlight. And then also the sponge if you're using it dry. And then the most simplest way to do the contour is to make the 3, the E with the contour. Go down the side of your nose, make that a little shorter if you needed to. And then the highlighter is in all the high points. High points right there. So voila. If anybody did want to put any of the prices in there, I don't have my book over here currently. Well, I have it pretty close. But your consultant would love to talk to you about that anyway. But the brushes, the all-over brush is $18. The cheek brush is $16. The liquid foundation brush is $16. The blending brush that looks like a sponge but it's on a handle is $18. The sponge is $14. And that is all the brushes and tools that I showed you. And those little powder highlighters and contours are $16 each. If you went that route, which are the true contours and highlighters that we have all the time mainline. And then if you went with a liquid method, of course, it would depend on what you chose. If you chose the CC creams, they're $22. The foundations are $28. If you went that route of going darker, lighter than your skin color. If you went with the concealers, they're $18. And then our silky setting powders are $22. So depending on what you pick, what method you want to use, we've got it all there for you. If you've got questions when you rewatch this, just put #replay in the comments. Reach out with your question. Your consultant or one of us will answer. And we're so glad you joined us. Hopefully, you'll also ask your consultant. We've got some special events coming up. Ask her about those. We've got some advanced color coming up. We'll have some Get Ready for Bed Hydrates coming up. So ask her about those. We also have webinars that you can jump on a webinar if you'd rather do that instead of Zoom. And we'll be here to have fun together. Okay. Oh, and most of your consultants also do things in person. So ask about that. You could have your own tutorial in person with her too, if she does those. So ask her about those. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week on live. Bye.